Greetings, my friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Let's Get Gritty podcast with yours truly, Dr. India White. I'm super thrilled to be here with all of you rock stars. I hope you're having a wonderful week. Hope you're getting some things done. Hope you're wrapping up the school year successfully. And I hope that the sun is smiling in your direction. I know some of us are getting lots of sun. Some of us are just getting a little bit of sun. Wherever you are in the world, I wish you the best of that. And I wish you nothing but good thoughts, positive vibes, and all that good stuff. Now, I want to start out by making some announcements. First off, the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White will be featured on the Swing Girl Media channel, but it will also be featured on Spotify and social media outlets. So make sure you check it out whenever you get a chance. Now, I also want to encourage you to check out my website, www.india-white.com, for blogs, books, and to schedule me for a speaking event, coaching event, whatever, however I can serve you, I'm here. Okay, also, I wanted to remind you guys to follow me when you get a chance on social media. My Facebook account is Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White 123. And TikTok is Dr. India White. I also wanted to remind you guys that I will be visiting many of you at different parts of our nation. I've got a couple of events coming up. We've got the Wisconsin Math Council in May next week. I can't wait to see you guys and to talk grit and to talk equity with you guys. And please, don't be a stranger when you're there. I'll have some things I'll be giving away. I'm really looking forward to connecting and mingling with all of you. I will also be speaking in June at FCTM in Florida and the CAMPS conference in July in Texas. Looking forward to meeting you guys there. And then, of course, NCSM, I'll be there. ICTM in October, that's in Iowa. So I'm super delighted and honored to have these wonderful opportunities. Thank you to everyone that has been involved, that has given me a platform to share this awesome truth with the tribe so that we can continue to close the achievement gap together and to motivate our students and develop grit in our students and in each other. Now, I also wanted to remind you of the Grit Mini Workshop on the Grassroots Workshops website. So take a look at that whenever you get a chance. And also, I wanted to give a shout out and a thank you again to Savvis Learning. I'm honored to be a new author, part of the authorship team for Savvis Learning. Thankful for this opportunity, and I can't wait to see what we are able to produce together, because I know it's going to be some great work. Now, I want to talk this year or with you guys about ending this year strong through grit. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because we are at the end of the rope here for schools, students, teachers. We're wrapping up the school year. We're about to go into May. May is the end of the year for the majority of school districts across this nation. So what are we going to do about it? And I'll share a story. When I was a senior in high school, I had developed grit, probably more so than ever before. And I want to say I wanted to attribute that to my teachers, because my teachers would not let me off the hook, and they constantly were in my face, reminding me of different deadlines, and especially my guidance counselors. They were like, oh, Indy, this is due, this scholarship is due, this college application is due. And I'm going to tell you, if they weren't there for me, I don't know that I would have been able to be as prepared as I was to enroll at the University of Florida. Like, I think I would have had some gaps here and there. So I want to just shout out to all those guidance counselors and teachers and those that really were there to support me and that those last moments. But I can say that having them in my corner definitely contributed to my grit levels. And so I want to challenge you to think about your grit levels and to think about, what are you doing this year to be gritty and grittier? What are you doing to increase the grit levels of your students? And so I want to talk about some tips for ending the school year strong, but I want to do it in a gritty approach. So first things first is you can start with the end of the year projects where you can have the students review either a couple of sections in, a book, or you can have students review different topics. So I used to do a project where I would go through the table of contents of our textbook If you're not using your school textbook, it's a great idea to start using the school textbook. And this is one way to bring it back to surface. So we would use the textbook, and I would take the titles of the chapters and the lessons, and then I would put them, like I would cut them up in these little strips, put them in a plastic bag, and I would walk around randomly and allow students to choose which assignment they wanted to do. And I would let them know, hey, this is going to be a test grade or a quiz grade, and you have to present. I provided a rubric for them, and they went through it. It was wonderful. It boosted their grit levels, it boosted their collaboration. And I saw them really work for me. Like they really were passionate, not only because they knew it was, a significant part of the grade, but because they wanted to see how well of a studier were they, how well of a presenter were they, how well could they design a poster. Like they wanted to produce for me. And I want to encourage all teachers out there, your students, they want to be gritty, they want to produce for you, they want to have that passion, that zeal, they want to have a place to kind of deliver that greatness to you. They want an outlet to show their expertise and their talents. So this is a great opportunity for you to tap into various ways to allow your students to be gritty and to do that during a end of the year school project. Now, I also want to talk about discussing grades and negotiations with your students. Some students, they have passion about the grade, but they don't necessarily know how to have that resilience over a set amount of time. So it's imperative that you as an educator take the time to help students get organized and to give them deadlines as to when you're accepting certain assignments. So if it's past due, past a couple of weeks, you negotiate, I'll give you half off or things like that. I don't know. Do something so that it's plain and clear. Or if there's a test they have to make up, I will let you make this test up within a couple of, these certain days. Give them a system that they can follow so that they can remain gritty as they're computing these things. And I want to tell you, a powerful element of grit too is being able to remind your students and getting them passionate and motivating them. Like, hey, how are you doing on that assignment? Hey, I know it's due in 2 days. Hey, I know I saw what you were doing. You're doing great work. Yeah, keep that up. You got this. Like continuing to put those little nuggets of inspiration in their ear as they're going on and finishing these tasks for you is wonderful. And it would give them so much support. And I also want to remind educators, we were once students, right? And what would you have needed as a student? If you were behind in a grade or you needed to make up a test or you're ending the school year, you're trying to study and get it done. What would you need? And I want to encourage you that whatever your needs were, maybe you can implement more of those and just remain gritty with your students as you all are wrapping up the school year. Now, the next tip, help seniors get on track towards graduation. Now, this is a part of my heart. I get very passionate when I think of seniors because this is it for them, right? They've worked all this time, grades K-12, right? To show that they could be productive citizens and that they wanted a chance at the real world, whether that's military, whether that's a 4-year college or 2-year college or trade school or business, whatever it is that they're deciding to embark upon. It's imperative that we do our job to best equip them for life. And so with that said, helping those seniors get on track. Do they have credits they need to make up? You're going to have to get in their face sometimes and say, hey, I pulled up your records. I saw that you're behind 2 credits. You're behind this credit. You're behind 4 credits. What's going on? Let's get to it. Let's get this done. And then of course, giving them enough time to be able to make it up. See, you need resilience, but you also need that time management. So sometimes students don't have the vision for time management. So they need their educators to tell them, okay, this is ideal for if you're trying to make up these assignments in this set amount of time, or you're trying to consolidate these assignments, this is the best path forward. Or they're going to have to pick and choose. If they have to make up 10 assignments, but they only have 2 days to do it, and they don't have, enough time, maybe some of them are more rigorous, then you could say pick and choose which ones are weightier, right? Versus which ones you can kind of let slide. There are a lot of different negotiating tactics that you can work with your students so that they can win in the end. At the end of the day, it's for the students so that our students will win, right? Now, the next tip, plan for packing your room. So this can be a really neat task that you can get everybody on board with. And I would say also to be gritty about this so that when the bell rings and school's done, you're not left with a classroom full of books everywhere on the shelves, nothing's wiped down, everything's still intact, the walls aren't taken down. You can develop a system and you can provide incentives for your students, whether that's like fake money or tickets or whatever. And you could say, hey, take this time to choose how you want to get involved. And it's voluntary. You don't have to do it, but you can volunteer to do it. And as you volunteer, there are certain incentives. And so then you can motivate them through that. I don't know how you're going to tie those incentives to whether it's like an end of the year holiday or not holiday, but like a end of the year celebrative type of event that you can do in your class, or, maybe they can get time where they can watch, their favorite movie, of course, being approved by administration. There are different things that you can do there to help kind of incentivize something like packing the room. And you'd be amazed. Some students want to pack your room. They want to help you. They want to go around and, erase the dry erase board. They want to help. Students have various love languages. And one of those love languages can be acts of services or acts of kindness. So some of them are wanting to do that for you. So don't count it strange or odd if a student comes and asks to support you. And some will come up to you because they'll see other teachers are doing it. So then they'll say, hey, I know Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so, they're doing it. Can we help you? Because, and just allow them to. It's really, really neat opportunity, and it just builds that relationship with your student. Now, let's keep going. Next tip I have for you guys, tip 5, is to schedule a meeting with your administration about what you'll teach the next year. Being gritty about this because you never know. You might be the one that the administration team is looking for to promote to department head or to teacher leader. There might be some other opportunities, maybe even administration, that, your administration team is really looking at you and saying like, hey, I think they would be a good fit. So, just keep that in mind whenever you're asking for assignments for the next year, because they just might need you for either more opportunities to teach, more courses to teach. And so there are some great opportunities for you to grow as a leader and to even possibly enhance your salary as well. Now, the next tip, have a heart-to-heart with your students about being gritty, about ending the school year strong. Students are doing their best to carry all of their responsibilities, whether they're athletes, whether they are in the band, whether they are in the chorus, whether they are in student government, whether they are, part of some activities in their community, churchgoers, whatever. However your students have packaged their life, they are trying best to perform for you. Even when you're like, oh, the student doesn't do anything for me, or the student is so behind, or, I want you to just take a moment of empathy and compassion and to think, maybe you as the educator can be the grit setter or the goal setter for those kids to help get them across the line. Maybe it's you. Maybe they need you because, if you're the one that sees the flaw in them, if you're the one that sees, what's going on, then you have the power, right? You have the power to make a difference. So I want to encourage you to be gritty with that. Secondly, or number 7, send out a parent letter to newsletter. Number 7, send out a parent letter or newsletter to families about your plans. So encouraging family members to get on campus and to not only get involved on campus or to get involved with the students' life and what's going on at the end of the year, letting them know if you have specific projects and when they're due, specific school-wide events that they can contribute to. Wherever you need support, if you need volunteers, let them know. If you have SAC meetings or PTA meetings, let them know what's going on, okay, so that they can get involved. And then, of course, preparing the paperwork for students at the end of the year and for yourself. Definitely being gritty about making sure that you're meeting your deadlines as an educator, the different forms, if it's like an ippy dippy or if it's turning in all of your grades on time, making sure students know where they are being promoted to the next year. If you have that information, making sure that you're helping students with the end of the year testing, whether it's state testing, district tests, or whatnot, making sure that students that need to graduate are on task and not just on task, but they're on track to graduate, and that you've done your part to set them up for success. It's very, very imperative that we as educators continue to do these things. And then I want to say that my last 2 points: be a point of contact for parents and for students. So in these last moments on campus, students are going to need order, stability, organization to where they can continue to be gritty, and they'll need someone that they can kind of let know what's going on in their lives. Even if it's as little as, hey, miss, I just wanted to stop by and let you know I finished, 4 out of 7 on that worksheet that you gave and I'm working on it. Or, hey, miss, I logged in and I'm working on my digital assignments and I've got 52% of them done. Then be a point of contact. Hey, that's great work. Come back to me in tomorrow. Come back to me in 2 days and let me know an update. I want to make sure that you get them all done by Thursday or get them all done by whatever the day is. And be a point of contact so that they can have some type of stability and know that they're not in this alone. And then my last point, be annoying to parents. Yes, be annoying to parents, because parents are busy. They're rock stars. They're doing their thing. But at the same time, they don't always know the ins and outs of what's going on in their child's education experience because they are busy doing what they have to do. So sending a note to parents, sending an email, sending a little clip, a little video that they can see, like, hey, this is what's going on. Things like that would be key. So when you do that, you're keeping them in the loop so that there's not this nightmare of, oh my God, my child did not pass his class. Oh my God, my child's not being promoted to the 4th grade. All of these different nightmares that parents go through because there might have been a lack of communication. So I want to encourage you to continue to be annoying to parents in a good way, keeping them in the loop and helping them to also be gritty, letting them know that you're there for them, no matter what, so that they can also contribute to the success of their students. So I know that was a lot. That was really cool. I hope you're able to take that in. I hope you're able to see yourself somewhere on this to be able to say, okay, this is where I'm at, or this is what I need to start doing. Especially for math, maybe you need to start reviewing those benchmarks. Maybe you need to do a boot camp, so that students can start reviewing those standards and things at the end of the year, so that they can, score proficiently on those tests wherever you are in the nation. Now, I want to talk about a really cool article I found about one way we can be gritty, which is through, using weekly goals or whatnot to help students to finish their school year. So here, this is written by Emma, and she is talking about helping students with goals. So she says, I put a tremendous amount of trust in my students to know themselves and to be responsible. If they tell me that they're having a bad day, are overwhelmed with work, or didn't sleep the night before, I give them the opportunity to do work for another class and put their head down for a few minutes. Such instances become more frequent this time of year. So I think it's really neat. She knows her students. She knows what it takes for them to remain passionate and gritty and how to balance it all out as well. Then it says here, my students themselves recognize when they have begun taking advantage of trust, right? Of this trust. I recently polled the class and they actually requested more structure. I asked, how can we hold each other accountable? That's it for learning without my needing to implement firm deadlines and sacrifice my faith in your decision making. So that's very interesting. She's giving them a seat at the table as well to negotiate how they're going to implement firm deadlines for their decision making. So look, let's listen to what she did. She says, together we devised a game-changing solution, working with students to set weekly goals for themselves. There you go. Students hold themselves accountable and learn important executive functioning skills like preemptively planning for a day when they might need to catch up in another class. So then she talks about the strategies below are applicable in a self-paced class. Okay, So let's look what she said. Facilitating goal setting, right? Resilience over time management. For one, she says schedule students 2 to 5 minute meetings. Excellent. So have a few at the beginning of each class period or right after your opening activity. Keep the schedule of meetings visible so that your students know which day they will meet with you. That's excellent. Before the meeting, number 2, before the meeting, ask students to prepare. They should be ready to answer these questions. Where are you? I like this. I like this. Yes. Where are you? What did you just finish? And what do you need to do next? Next questions. Did you meet your goals last week? How might you adjust the volume each day by moving forward? Next question. What obstacles do you see coming up this week that might get in the way of having an effective workday? Great question. Do you need to plan a day to work for another class? Next question. Are you traveling for a game? Next question. How's your mental health? I think it's very interesting that she has, and I know she's a great teacher by this. Do you need to plan in a day to work for another class? Teachers, some of us, we get on a tantrum of, this is my class, don't do work for any other class, right? But this woman realized that sometimes life happens and these students are overwhelmed and they're bogged down with one class over another. Whether they have a project or they have to write a 10-page essay or whatever, sometimes it's imperative for us to be flexible and to lend time for another class so that student can be successful throughout all of their coursework. So just wanted to let you guys know that for those that are like, no, don't work on anything else but the work in my class. If you have time, I think it would be a great idea to consider to allow students to work on other coursework, especially if they have caught up in your class. All right. Let's keep going. Here, during the meeting, print out a schedule for the week or a month ahead. Excellent. Students need our help. So printing out a schedule for a week or a month ahead is great. Ask the students to talk about their answers or to answers to the questions above and begin setting goals for the upcoming week. Remind them of anything that they may have missed and help them to reflect on the previous week. Students can either set daily goals or set a larger goal that will be due by the end of the next meeting. Next, after the meeting, encourage students to check off their progress on their goal calendars each day. They should also make notes about how things need to shift the following week. So interesting. So let's listen to her story. She says what it looks like. For the last month, I've been using this procedure effectively in 2 different classes, my self-paced calculus class and my project-based statistics class. Calc students typically set goals like watch the video on concavity, take the notes, start the practice problems. Then they look at the length of each assignment to predict whether they'll be able to finish it in one class period or 2. The first week, one student set a single goal. I want to finish all of Module 12 by next week. Each day he procrastinated. There you go. So she's got to help him, right? Says, I observed, gently reminding him of how many classes remained before he needed to achieve this goal. During our next meeting, he reflected that he probably needed to set goals for himself instead. The next week was far more productive. So that's interesting. Then look here. It says, another student who had struggled with motivation all year chose to take work with him outside of class so that he wouldn't fall behind on his goals. I never require students to take work with them, and this is the first time he did so. In statistics, the students typically set larger goals that serve as project benchmarks. Their goals are often things like have a clear and workable data set or produce 5 linear regressions from my data. These short goal-setting meetings have helped me keep track of their progress on the project and redirect them if they headed down an unproductive rabbit hole. Benefits. My students have learned self-monitoring strategies Love it. Such as tracking their progress, understanding their own capabilities and limitations, and anticipating their emotional needs. They've also learned valuable executive functioning skills like budgeting time, right? And looking ahead to plan for schedule blips, which is amazing. It's helping them to be gritty. Now, through this process, they have held themselves accountable for their learning despite all of the distractions that come with springtime. All the while, I've been able to continue trusting my students to know what's best for themselves. This process also frees my time to support them in ways that go beyond striving for uniform compliance. Together, this goal setting structure will get my students and me past the finish line. Yes, I love it. So that's great. As she's talking about the different strategies to incorporate grit, I thought that was wonderful how she really gave them a system of autonomy, and she didn't like, she wasn't like a helicopter on them, but she really made them own that, and I know she's talking about seniors and those that are taking calc and stats. It's fine, but we could do that in grades K-12. You can do that with any of your students, where you learn how to release, control through gradual release, and giving them those expectations and letting them kind of productively struggle through some of those assignments. So I thought that was a great clip for us to really review how to end the year strong with grit. And this is talking about ending the school year strong for your students. Okay. So it says here, it's important to help our students finish the school year strong. I want to raise responsible learners who don't quit, right? And are able to work hard despite distractions. Here are some tips your elementary school students can put forth towards their best effort until the last school bell rings. So gear check. That's the first thing she's saying here. She's talking about elementary. Okay. So after months of hard work and lots of time spent in the classroom, many students are left with less than ideal supplies. Pencils no longer have erasers. Crayons have been worn down to nubs. It's hard to do your best work when you don't have the right tools. Help your children put forth their best effort through the last day by taking stock of their school supplies. A freshly sharpened pencil, a glue stick or two, and a new box of crayons can make a world of a difference. That's very sweet of her to give back like that at the end of the year. And then they can take that into the next year as well. Next thing she says here, lead by example. Kids learn by example, and they're quick to adopt our attitude. If your child hears you're talking about how you wish it was summer or how you can't wait for school to be over, he or she is likely to adopt that mindset, which is very true. Speaking negatively about school, homework, or etc. in front of your child, it'll be harder for your child to put forth his or her best effort if they think you don't care or if they think you don't like school. We like to tell our kids that every assignment is an opportunity to do their best. Encourage your students to try their best, continue to set aside time to complete homework, and prioritize school attendance. That's really good. Your positive attitude about school can help your students finish strong. Okay, next. Stick to the routine. Yes, students need that order. They need that. So it says, when it's warm and light outside, it can be more difficult to enforce bedtime, but it's super important to help your child continue to get a good night's rest. So that's for you parents out there. And then she says here, help your child to develop responsibility and perseverance by maintaining that good learners do what they need to do until the job is done. Good. That's good. Good learners do what they need to do until they get the job done. Now, the next thing here, she says, also produce 1 to 2 reasonable goals. Goals are a great way to keep your students motivated and on task towards the end of the school year. Help your children to select 1 or 2 small goals that they can accomplish before the end of the school year. The goals should be challenging but reachable. Some ideas include moving up the level in reading, memorizing the multiplication facts, or having a certain number of positive behavior days. Work with your students to determine steps to take towards their goals and encourage practice at home. So, how are you helping your your children finish their school year strong? Okay, I think that's a really neat article that talked about helping students to finish their school year strong and to be gritty as they're doing it. So I hope that this podcast today gave you guys many tips and nuggets to take with you as you're ending the school year strong with your students. Thank you so much again for joining me on the fabulous Let's Get Gritty podcast with yours truly, Dr. India White. I wanted to remind you again of some announcements. This show will be featured on Swing Girl Media, and also it is on Spotify, and it will be on all other social media outlets. And also wanted to remind you again to follow me on social media whenever you get a chance. So my social media handles are: Facebook is Miss India White, LinkedIn is The India White, Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach, Instagram is Indie238, YouTube channel is India White 123, and TikTok is Dr. India White. Check out my grassroots mini workshop when you get a chance on grit. Thank you to the tribe there for that. I'm hoping to see many of you at these upcoming conferences in Wisconsin and at the Camp Conference, and also at FCTM in Florida, at NCSM, and at ICTM and beyond. I also wanted to remind you that whenever you get a chance, please check out my website, www.india-white.com, for books, blogs, and to schedule me for whatever services that I can help you guys with, whether that's speaking or coaching or beyond. And to those that have the grit workbook, and to those that have been really gritty and you're really implementing the tools, the framework, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And if you could do me a favor, if you are one of those rock stars out there, and you have the grit workbook or whatnot, feel free to send me a review to my email, india.white.123@gmail.com. Let me know how it's going. If you need more support in your class, don't hesitate to reach out to me as well and to let me know, hey, India, we need this, or we would like this. I would be honored to work with you. So with that said, thank you so much again for tuning into the Let's Get Gritty podcast. And until next time,